All right, it's Tuesday, and that means it is time for Tuesday tier rankings, where we look at every starting quarterback from week 11, just week 11, nothing from weeks 1 through 10, nothing in the future, just week 11, and we put those quarterbacks into one of these five categories: great, good, fine, poor, or trash. And at the end of the year, we will see who spent the most time in each category. Here we go, starting with the NFC East with Cooper Rush. Last night on Monday Night Football, the Cowboys are such a disaster that even their stadium is starting to fall apart. But for the situation that Cooper Rush is having to step into, which is not a good one, I thought he was fine. I mean, he's not going to win you a game against Houston on the road, or not on the road, but I was thinking Texas, but still, he's not going to win you a game against the Texans. But, I mean, for the situation he was put in, I thought he was fine. He's a backup quarterback having to come into a miserable situation, and I thought Cooper Rush was fine. Jaden Daniels on Thursday night against the Eagles. Tough few days for the Commanders there to lose on Sunday, turn around and lose on Thursday. I thought Daniels was fine. Listen, Jaden Daniels has mostly been good or great on this list all year. He's still a rookie. He was due come back down to earth couple of games. So I thought Jaden Daniels was fine on Thursday night. The problem is I think they needed him to be better than that in that game against that team. They needed him to be better, but on Thursday night he was fine. And then Jalen Hurts, I mean, not one of his flashier performances, but I think he was a little better than Jaden Daniels, so I will put Jalen Hurts into the good category. I just think he was better than Jaden Daniels on that particular night. Not a ton better, because, I mean, he didn't do anything to just light the world on fire, but I thought he was just a tad better, so I will put Jalen Hurts into the good category. Now we flop over to the AFC East with Josh Allen. Huge win for the Bills. One of the best teams right now. Again, not one of his flashier performances, but the play at the end to win, I think, lifts him up into great for me. Clutch, you need a big play. He powers through on that run to score one of the best plays of the year at one of the most crucial moments in a game of the year. So for that, I'm going to put Josh Allen into the great tier this week. Drake May against the Rams. Tough opponent for a team that I don't think has a very good roster in New England. But Drake May has shown some good signs, and I thought Drake May was good. I still think Drake May was good. I think he's mostly been good since he entered into the lineup. You got to keep in mind, he's not in a good situation either. And they're not winning, but he's looking very, very promising. If I'm a New England fan, I would be very encouraged about Drake May. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, listen, I guess he was fine, but I've said this before. I mean, the Jets are such a disaster, and they need Aaron Rodgers to be great. They did not bring him in this what was thought to be a Super Bowl window for him to be fine. And he has spent way too many weeks on this list in either the fine or below category. And I just thought against Indianapolis Sunday, he was fine. He was fine. But fine, clearly, is not good enough for what the Jets need from him. Tua Tagovailoa, I know it was against the Raiders, and I know Dolphins-Raiders Sunday was kind of those games, one of those games that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people because there was Steelers-Ravens, there was Bills-Chiefs. But you know what? Some people might disagree. I thought Tua was great. I really thought that Tua was great against the Raiders on Sunday. There were some throws that he made in this game that there aren't a lot of guys in the NFL that can make. And it kind of reminds you the good side of Tua. You know, before he got hurt, we saw that he has some issues sometimes, but in this game in particular, I thought Tua was great. I know it's the Raiders, and I know the Raiders aren't very good, but I still thought Tua was great. And the Dolphins still have an outside shot of grabbing a wild card spot, even if I don't think it's very likely. Caleb Williams, you know, tough loss for the Bears. It's just been a mostly miserable season for them in that regard. You know what, dang it, I still thought Caleb was good. And I'm going to put Caleb into the good category for the exact same reason that I put Bo Nix in the good category last week, even though they had a tough loss. He did his part. Caleb Williams did his part. He got his team down there to kick a field goal to beat the Packers for the first time in 5 years. He led them down there. He did what he was supposed to do, and then the special teams couldn't finish it off. He can't go out there and block for the field goal. He can't go out there and hold the snap. He can't go out there and kick it himself. He did what he needed to do, and he was within a blocked field goal of leading the Bears to their first win over the Packers in 5 years. So he did his part. I thought Caleb Williams was good. Now, Jordan Love, on the other side, I thought he was good too. He still scares me. He still scares me because if and when Green Bay makes the playoffs, Jordan Love is still capable of making some throws at times that will scare you to death. Some turnovers that rear their ugly heads, sometimes that are like, dude, what are you doing? But then he turns around and makes some throws that are like, wow. Not many guys that can do that. Overall, I thought Jordan Love was good in this game. The throw to, was it Watson in double coverage? I mean, he's just throwing some dots, but he still scares me to death sometimes. And then Jared Goff. Now listen, they were playing Jacksonville, who is probably the worst team in the league right now. But I thought Goff was great. And Jared Goff has really been great much of this year. I still am scared for Detroit because I still feel like they're peaking too early. But Jared Goff was great Sunday. They put up 50-something points for the second time this year. Maybe even the third. I don't remember. Jared Goff was great. And then Sam Darnold against my Titans. I mean, he got some help from the referees. Ain't no doubt about that. But I guess he was good. I should put a picture of Cleet Blakeman, the head official for the Vikings, just put his picture on there. But overall, I guess Darnold, it ain't Darnold's fault they threw the flags. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Decline the penalties? He was good. Joe Burrow. Man, I feel bad for Joe. Feel bad for old Shiesty because I thought he was great. I thought he was great Sunday night. And I think Joe Burrow has been great. Most of this year, they just cannot. The Bengals can't figure out how to win these games, man. I mean, how can you have a quarterback playing this well and be 4-7? I don't understand. Because Joe Burrow has been great most weeks. You got one of the best receivers in football in Jamar Chase, and he's playing like it. You got T. Higgins. How can you guys not figure out how to win these close games? Burrow was great. Russell Wilson. I mean, this was a Steelers-Ravens game. It was ugly. It was physical. It was rainy. It was sloppy. And I actually think it might have been Russell Wilson's worst game as a Steeler, yet they still won, so that's a good sign for them. I guess I'm going to put Russell into the fine category. I mean, he didn't do anything to lose the game in sloppy weather conditions. I thought Russell was fine. Lamar Jackson, now listen. Even on a bad day, Lamar's still good, but by Lamar Jackson's standards, I thought he was fine. By Lamar Jackson standards, I thought he was fine. because it's to the point with him where I expect him to just do freaky things every week. And he still made some wow plays because he's always going to, but by his standards, I thought he was just fine on Sunday. Jameis Winston, this is a weird one. Somebody explain this to me if there are any Browns fans watching. How do you have a quarterback nearly throw for 400 yards, you don't turn the ball over, you get turnovers, and not only do you still lose, you lose by 3 touchdowns. They lost 35-14 with a quarterback that threw for nearly 400 yards, didn't turn the ball over. Your defense got turnovers, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Browns won the turnover battle and still lost 35-14. That makes no sense. So I don't really know where to put Jameis. At the end of the day, I guess Jameis was good. I mean, he threw for 400 yards, a couple touchdowns. It's a weird situation because I don't know what more you could have asked from him, but they still lost by 3 touchdowns. That's just how bad the Browns are right there. Geno Smith. Geno was good this week. I understand you look at his numbers and it wasn't exactly flashy, but Geno Smith with another game-winning drive to beat the 49ers, and I believe this game was at San Francisco. This was on the road. He led a game-winning drive to beat the 49ers, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. So, I mean, listen, I keep saying Geno Smith, there's only so high of a ceiling, but I think this guy, he has just as many game-winning drives as anybody. So for leading that game-winning drive at the end to beat a division foe who's supposed to be better than you, I thought he was good. Brock Purdy, I mean, dang, I thought Purdy was poor. I thought he was poor. I just thought, at home, you're supposed to be one of the main teams in the NFC. We're getting into the the home stretch almost, as hard as that is to believe. We're about to get into that home stretch. You've got a stacked NFC. You've got a stacked NFC West. I mean, the Cardinals were off this week, but the Cardinals are leading the way. Seahawks are a good physical team. Rams are a good physical team. You're at home against a team everybody's picking you to beat. I just thought he was poor. For what they needed? I mean, come on. Matthew Stafford. I don't know if the Rams are going to make the playoffs, but I thought Stafford was great again. And I feel like Matthew Stafford has either been good or great in every game he's played this year. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does going into next year and what the Rams do with him, because he's still playing. I don't know if the Rams are going to make the playoffs or not, but Matthew Stafford's playing at a very high level. Very high level. Speaking of playing at a very high level, Justin Herbert. I had people in my comments on the tier rankings last week going off on me because I put Herbert into the fine category after beating the Titans. And my explanation behind that was that he didn't have to be Superman against the Titans. He just had to be smart and play smart, and he did. So I put him in the fine category. Some people disagreed. Hopefully this will make you feel better. He was great Sunday night. Started slacking off a little bit in the second half, but ultimately at the end of the day, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, I've said it before, they are a sleeper team. They are going to upset somebody in the playoffs. I'm just telling you right now. And Justin Herbert, like I've been saying this, started the year a little tough, had some injuries, wasn't putting together those games that we had known him for. But Justin Herbert belongs in the conversation of these great young quarterbacks again. Patrick Mahomes. Now, he had a couple plays. I'm just going to go ahead and say. Patrick Mahomes had a couple of baffling throws in this game against the Bills that if any other quarterback made them, people would be like, what the heck are you doing? I'm talking, he had the one where he was getting sacked and he threw it above his head, and I think it may have been intercepted. Check me on that. But I mean, if Will Levis does that, it's in the not top 10 on SportsCenter, and it's being made fun of left and right. If Jordan Love does that, same thing. If Kyler Murray, if Caleb Williams, if one of these guys does that, it's being plastered everywhere and laughed at. But Patrick Mahomes does it, and it's like, oh, thought that was going to be complete. He's such a great quarterback. So he had a couple of boneheaded throws. But still, I guess I'll put him into good. Guess I'll put him into good on the road against a good Buffalo team. I get it. He was good, but he had a couple plays that was like, bro, if anybody else does that, they're getting laughed at. Bo Nix. Let me tell you something, man. Not a big believer in the Broncos, not a big believer in their roster, but I am becoming a big believer in this guy because he was great on Sunday against the Falcons, and that's a big part of the reason why the Broncos stomped the Falcons. Bo Nix, whoo, I'm telling you. Oh, okay, listen. I get it. Jaden Daniels has been sensational. Had a rough couple of games, but overall, Jaden Daniels has been sensational. Drake May's done some good things. Caleb Williams as well. I'm just saying, you got to at least throw Bo Nix's name in the Rookie of the Year conversation. Jaden Daniels, I get it. Jaden Daniels probably still leading the way. But if Jaden Daniels slacks off in these last 7 games and Bo Nix keeps doing what he's doing, Bo Nix, I'm telling you, man, Rookie of the Year, he belongs in the conversation. He was great Sunday. Gardner Minshew, I mean, my goodness. Gardner was fine, but the Raiders are just they're so terrible. God bless them. They need a quarterback so bad. Minshew, he played okay Sunday. He was fine. Derek Carr against the Browns, I mean, he was good, and he's been, I mean, he had the first game he was back against Carolina where I thought he was terrible, but last couple of weeks he's been good, and the Falcons are refusing to run away with this division, and don't look now, but the Saints are only 2 games behind them in the division. So I don't know if Derek Carr can keep playing well. Maybe the Saints can do something unthinkable here. And then that brings me to Kirk Cousins. I mean, listen, I'm going to put him into poor, but I was tempted to put him into the trash. You're getting paid $180 million. You're getting paid $180 million, and you guys have been clobbered by the Seahawks. You've been clobbered by the Broncos. Now, listen, I understand the Falcons' weakness is their defense. Their defense is just not good at all. But, I mean, come on, bro. Y'all score 6 points? You put up 6 points? And they got talent there with Drake and Mooney and Bijan. Drake London, I meant. I mean, you can't do better than 6 points on the road? So I thought he was poor. Anthony Richardson. Okay, listen. I'm never going to let my bias get in the way. I thought Anthony Richardson was good on Sunday against the Jets. I thought he was good. Had the game-winning touchdown at the end that he ran in. Had 2 rushing touchdowns, I believe. Had a couple of nice deep balls. People will say, oh, it's against the Jets. The Jets are terrible. Man, we see quarterbacks all the time put up bad performances against bad teams. I thought AR was good. I thought he was good. And you know what? If I didn't hate the Colts so bad, it might be a pretty good little story. He got benched, came back, led a game-winning drive. We'll see how he builds on it, but thought Anthony Richardson was good. CJ Stroud, I know the Texans won big over one of the worst teams in the league, Dallas. I'm still not inspired, dude. I just thought Stroud was fine. Listen, they're 7-4. They're going to win the division. He is good overall. But I still ain't inspired by anything I've seen from him in a long time, and I just thought that he was fine on Monday night. He was fine. Mac Jones. The lone guy in the trash this week. I mean, listen. Mac Jones not exactly stepping into a good situation here. Christian Kirk hurt. Gabe Davis got hurt. Whoever their running back, Bigsby's hurt. A lot of guys out for Jacksonville on offense. And you're playing the best team in the league on the road. I know it's not, but I mean, my gosh. Everything that has to do with Jacksonville right now belongs in the trash. Everything Jacksonville should be in the trash. And Mac Jones is representing them on this list. Trash. Last but not least is my guy, Will Levis. Okay, Will. I think when early in the season, every week that he played, he was either poor or trash on this list. Last week against Chargers, he worked his way up into the fine category. This week, by God, I thought Will Levis was good. And it's not just, you can say, well, he's a Titans homer. No. I've had him in poor or trash every week. I thought Will Levis was good this week. I thought, he had a few hundred yards. Should have had about 350 because a touchdown got called back for a bogus ticky-tack illegal formation that they just randomly decided to call on a long touchdown pass. Against a tough Minnesota team, he had bad protection. Minnesota's a very aggressive defense. They were in his face all day. And he hung in there and played well. I thought it was his best game of the season by far. And I thought it was his best game since probably around this time last year. So I don't know if it's going to last, but I thought Will Levis was good. And so that's where we stand this week. In the great category, Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix. In the good category, Jalen Hurts, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, Jameis Winston, Geno Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. Fine. We had Cooper Rush, Jaden Daniels, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Gardner Minshew, C.J. Stroud. In the poor category, Brock Purdy and Kirk Cousins. In the trash, Mac Jones. Let me know what you think about this list in the comments below. Tighten up. Bye.